Alright folks, so in this video we're going to be discussing setting up linear wideband used with ECM link, mainly for those who are using AEM wideband, the Yu-Gi-Oh, Yugo, however it is you say it. But anyway, it's the main one that people normally have issues with. Analog AEM usually can match pretty well. That's not one that normally has a problem. I'm not real familiar with the X series. But the main one that is basically the digital readout with the Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever. We'll just say Yu-Gi-Oh for the purpose of this video because I don't know the pronunciation. But anyway, that's the one that most people normally have an issue with. And mainly the problem that they're having is trying to get the readings to match and link. Let's see, here we have 20.4. If we look at our wideband reading, got about right at 22 volts. Now, of course, this is a Innovate, so it's not necessarily that issue, but being that we are using a linear wideband, the voltage settings may not be set up correctly, or the lambda to get the correct reading to make them match. And this is the normal issue that people will have with AEM. Now with the Innovate, you just choose from the drop down box, select LC1. I'll show you that real quick if you bear with me. I've had some technical issues, so if I have any without this video, just bear with me. But mainly what we're looking at here is the drop down box for LC1. Whether it's a LC2 or LC1, doesn't matter. That's what you're normally going to select if you're an Innovate user or PLX, whatever the case may be. Okay, but like I said, for the purpose of this video, we're just using linear wideband. Okay, and being that I had to calibrate my sensor itself to make sure my readings are accurate with Innovate, figured this would be a good time to make this video. So basically I used a towel here just to lay my sensor on. I didn't want my sensor falling off, scratching my paint. I didn't want to be banging up against my glass. So also too as well, the sensor gets pretty hot when you have power activated to it. So be careful, you don't want to go grab a hold of the sucker and burn the heck out of yourself, because it does get rather warm. But basically this is the free air reading that we would get in Link. What we're going to be doing is putting this in a gas soaked rag to get the rich conditions so that we have the readings to put in for our lambda, our voltage, and so on. And we'll discuss that throughout the video. But anyways, to get those readings and to set it up correctly, basically so long as we have it set up for linear wideband, what we can do, we can double click this here to get the box to pop up. Now you won't get this box right here. If you have LC1 selected or PLX, it's mainly just linear wideband, because you're basically selecting the proper voltages and the lambdas that you need to get them to match. Okay, so being that you have a drop down for LC1 or PLX, whatever the case may be, you don't need to make these adjustments. It's already set up there for you, so you won't see those readings with LC1 or PLX or whatever the other type of wideband is outside of linear wideband. Okay. Now when we're trying to get them to match, the thing you have to keep in mind is that being that we are showing lambda and volts, we've got to get those readings. Okay, so we've got our voltage right here, 4.86 is what we were going to be putting in there, but now we need our lambda. So what do we have to do to get that done? Well, what we're going to do here is right click over our display screen. We're going to go down here to our unit preferences. We've got to change our air-fuel ratio to lambda. I'm going to click apply, and I hope you can see this. I know it's a little bit sunny out. I tried to do a little bit towards later of the day, but we're going to click apply. Hopefully I'm getting that done. And bear with me, my laptop's a little bit slow. So we've got OK. Now right now we've got 1.39 and 4.86. Okay, so that being the case, basically what we're needing to do is we're going to go back down here, double click this. I've got 1.39 already, and I'd already put it for 4.86. Let me make sure I've got those readings correctly. Alright, sorry about that folks, I had a phone call, my girlfriend's calling me, but anyway, picking up back where we left off, basically we just need to get these readings to match. Hopefully I'm trying to hold this camera here steady. But basically we got 1.39 and 4.86. I've put those in there from previously. Now we just need to get our rich condition. These two right here for our max voltage and max lambda, that's going to be for our lean open air condition. If you have the sensor out in the wide open, that's basically simulating full lean condition. Now we've got to get our full rich, so we need to be able to get the readings from our minimum volts and minimum lambda. Basically what I'll say is we need to put the sensor in either a gas soaked rag, or maybe use one with either brake clean or something to that effect. I have some gasoline that I'm using for mowing the grass, so that's what we're going to use. Don't necessarily need to watch me soaking my rag, just you get the hint. Just, you know, there needs to be gas soaked or brake clean, whatever the case may be, so we get our readings. I'll take a video of that here momentarily. Let me go ahead and soak the rag, and then we'll show you what happens to get our readings for that, and then that way you know what to put in. Be back in just a moment. Alright, so now we're about to put the sensor in the gas soaked rag. Bear with me, I've got two hands, so I'm trying to make do with what I got here. But you'll see the different readouts. Obviously right now we've got 1.39 and 4.86 for our voltage. We're going to go ahead and put our sensor in this gas soaked rag. Okay, and here momentarily you should see, there we go, we see the voltage and the lambda readings changing. 0 volts and 0.67 is what I have here, and I can feel this sensor getting hot. I'm going to go ahead and take that sensor out to free air. We sit here just a moment. I'm trying to keep this camera as steady as possible. Here momentarily you'll see the readings start to lean out. And of course it looks like my log is just kind of lagging here, so bear with me. You see it'll gradually start leaning out. Now if you have a bad sensor, it may just want to be stuck in a rich condition, so that's also one way you can tell if you've got a sensor that's going bad. It may not want to go back to lean, it'll stay rich. So if you have a condition like that, just keeping in mind you may just very well have a bad sensor. May be time for replacement. Okay, so I'm going to stop the log so I can go back and get those readings, enter those in, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so I stopped my log, backed it up a little bit. See, we've got 0.67 and 0 volts. I'd already done these measurements earlier, but we're just going to verify. 0 volts, 0.67. Okay, there's the readings we got. Okay, put the sensor back in here in just a moment. If I can find my mouse there, or my pointer, there we go. Okay, clear this box out. And now we just need to get this back over to from lambda to our air fuel ratio readings. Right click once again, go down to unit preferences, go to air fuel ratio, apply, okay, and now we're back to where we were. So this, of course, this is in the middle of the log. Give me just a moment. Let me go ahead and plug my sensor back in, then we'll go from there. Be back once more again here momentarily. All right, so I've got my sensor reinstalled. You see, I don't really have a whole lot of room down there if we're trying to get two sensors. So for this reason, I use just the wideband. I don't have a stock O2 sensor because I have a side exit exhaust. I don't have one going all the way to the back of the car, otherwise I'd probably weld a bung. So I only have this one, and I also want to make mention that this method may not always work 100%. These readings may not make it match. Sometimes you have to play around with the numbers as far as in these boxes. Okay, so we're putting our readings in, trying to get it as accurately as possible. Also, too, another thing that may throw it off is, you know, when the car's off, you may not have a consistent voltage reading. Battery may be run low, whatever the case may be. So when you start it up, it may have different readings as far as that's concerned. So sometimes you have to play with these numbers just to try and get it to match accurately. Now, you may have it matching when it's at idle, great. And then you go wide open throttle, may not match quite as well. So you don't only want to make it match at idle, you want to make it match the wide open throttle as well. Okay. The other thing too that we can do, let me back up here a little bit. So anyway, one of the methods you may want to do, aside from just playing with the numbers there, a few different things you can do. You can force a rich condition. You can either change those Those conditions either, a few different ways. You can use your MAF comp sliders. If you're running mass airflow sensor, you can raise the sliders. You can do it even if you're running speed density. You can raise these sliders here if you just uncheck the. Sorry, my hand's shaking a little bit there. If you uncheck the disable MAF compensation with SD operation, any adjustments you make to these sliders are translated over to your speed density or SD table. So that's another way to do it. Or, and I apologize if my hand's shaking a little bit, but you can take these values as far as your idle, and you can raise these up or down, raise them up to get a rich condition. But that may not be what you want. I have a buddy with the Evo across the street there, just happened to be driving by, so, but anyway. But that may not be what you want to do as far as trying to get a rich condition. I personally don't like doing it that way because I don't want to be fouling out my plugs or my wideband sensor, or take a chance of washing my cylinders out, so because I'm running too rich. So the main methods I do is either gas in the rag, putting the sensor in it, or just have to play with the numbers, and keeping in mind that want to have to make sure they match at idle and wide open throttle, not just idle, which most people think, oh, it matches at idle, I'm good to go. So no, you got to make sure you're doing it at idle and wide open throttle, and that's why it's such a pain with AEM, because if it doesn't match on one side and it does the other, your readings may be off. So we'll go ahead and fire the car up, see what we get out of this, and check it from there. Okay, so we're about to start it up. Again, these methods may not be 100% accurate for this one. I have to play around with those numbers. Right now we got the car off running 20.4, wideband reading about 22. I'm gonna fire it up. Apologize, my fuel pump's a little loud. We'll see what we get. Time to wait for my wideband to warm up a little bit. 14.6. They're pretty close. Sorry, my log is lagging a little bit. And lastly, I've got the Innovate hook back up. Got 22 volts. Or not 22 volts, air fuel ratio of 22, and about 22 there. So that's pretty accurate there. It's one reason why I like Innovate or any other wideband. Basically, you don't have to fool with the lambda and minimum and maximum volts. You just put a drop down box, throw it in there, and it matches. So as you see, I'll just fire it up real quick, just one last time. That really about covers it. Hope that helps some of you guys out. Have any questions, just shoot me a holler. I'll make more videos as I can. Y'all have a good one.